When the pandemic was at its peak in 2020, I finished the campaign for Modern Warfare 2019, a solid game that will be part of COD's massive return in popularity, and although the campaign had a lot of strong points, what stood out to me was the mission Clean House. A mission where Price, Gaz, and other members of the SAS raid a home in search of terrorist activity. If you're watching this, you probably already know, and I'm probably a broken record about, because this mission is universally praised as some of the most realistic depiction of military tactics in video games. But to me, I was only 15, and I only played at the time games with big action and funny one-liners, so I was super blown away with how much I enjoyed much slower paced combat. Clearing rooms unsure of threats, not knowing where the enemy was, and making quick decisions to survive was actually super fun, and I wanted to find more, but at the time there wasn't. And so I kinda let it sit for a while, but it wasn't until 2022 when a cousin of mine introduced me to Ready or Not. I was a bit skeptical because this was when I wasn't playing tactical shooters, cause Siege was getting the better of me, and it was really messing me up. I asked him why he recommended it, and he told me it was just like Clean House, and me and my other cousins would be a co-op team, kicking down doors and carefully taking out threats. I bought the game and was instantly sold, and me and my cousins for that year played a lot of Ready or Not. And we kinda left it alone, because it was only in the beta phase, but it was super fun. A lot of bugs, but we thought, it would just eventually be fixed. But at this year's Game Awards, Void Interactive confirmed that the game was ready to launch into 1.0 and did on December 13. And there is a lot to talk about. I've been playing the game a lot and I'm ready to give a lot of thoughts. There are so many pros, so many cons, and just overall, would I recommend this game? Or would it be like a majority of the other modern day games where you're gonna have to wait a couple updates before you actually play it? Let's talk about the most important aspect of any shooter and your main tool to keep the peace: the guns. Ready or Not gives the player a wide selection of weapons, from assault rifles, SMGs, and shotguns, and for secondary weapons, a diverse set of pistols. Each of them are unique, but some are a lot better than others, but depending on your playstyle, you can mix between these. Are you looking for something more precise, trying to save your ammo for the whole mission, or are you trying to go full Rambo and mag dump and not think twice? You can pick and mix between your arsenal. They even have non-lethal weapons, beanbag shotguns and pepper guns for players looking for a more non-lethal approach. Sure, it may seem risky going into it without any actual guns, but for those looking for a non-lethal take, it's very rewarding to even make some of the strongest enemies yield. Ready or Not also allows for a selection of tools to use while in missions. These things are mainly non-lethal, but each are unique ways to properly deal with room clearing. You have things like the mirror gun, which allow you to see through doors and spot targets, breaching shotguns and rams that allow you to bust through locked doors and clear, and there's a nice selection of non-lethal grenade launchers you can use to non-lethally take out enemies with gas, stingers, or flashbangs, and the riot shield for obvious reasons. With all these elements, you give players the freedom to choose what they want. What I like is usually in gameplay nothing is wrong. You can be running a build with all these different elements and yet they all work in their own ways. And so each experience with it is unique and very much so different. It reminds me a lot of the choices that you were able to get in Metal Gear Solid 5 before missions. You could do it non-lethally, lethally, have a giant helicopter takeout, but the point is that these games offer a lot of freedom in how you deal with the situation, and it makes the game a lot more funner, especially when you're playing with your friends. Yet, with all these pros, there is one big con in Ready or Not's gameplay, but I kinda don't want to talk about it at the moment because there's still a lot of good I can say about this game. So for that, let's get into the topic of this game's maps and storyline. Ready or Not takes place in a lot of different areas in an alternate world LA called Los Sueños, a city infested with crime and decay with spikes in violence and degeneracy around the city. I know that just sounds like normal Los Angeles, but the city does its best in making the player feel that. This city is pretty much a dystopia, far more corrupt and wrong than the average American city, with garbage and graffiti littering the streets and a lot of areas looking worse for wear. You can already picture that poor decisions has led this city the wrong way. Speaking about areas worse for wear, the main lobby of this game is a shining example of this, the Los Sueños police station. The Los Sueños police station is a bit all over the place. The walls are decayed, boxes open and unopened are just laying around the station, and bullets and other equipment are scattered around carelessly. Being tidy is the last thing on the police's priority, as the place's state can clearly tell. As you play the game, you and your squad are taken through 5 connected storylines, those being the war, the exploited, the left behind, the decaying city, and the abducted, each with their own stories to tell. You can take a look at your mission before you enter through a briefing tab on your character's device, where you can listen to 911 calls, team briefings, or other recorded pieces of voice memoirs. Look at the layout of the building and get familiar with possible suspects and civilians in the area. Although a lot of people might not look at these, I appreciate what these give, not only from a tactical advantage, but it gives these situations more life and really makes the player feel more immersed in what they're doing. Once you enter the mission, the game tells you each mission's story through environmental storytelling. As the further you go into a mission, you realize things are either not as easy as good or evil, or there's a lot more ugly to uncover. And they do this quite well to push their narrative. A really good example of this is the mission Valley of the Dolls. In this mission, you and your squad are tasked with taking down Amos Val, an adult film star that seems to have a massive hand in a child exploitation operation, and so the intel said we just need to find his computer and seize him. When we raid his home, we can tell that he likes to live lavish and unapologetic. His films playing on TV, his photos on the walls are just film posters of his work. The furniture all themed to inappropriate matter, and his awards for his work. Even his paintings are just inappropriate artistic depictions of the deed. You can see that there's no shame, and whatever he does it with some public indecent pride. As we move further into the premise, we find out it's his daughter's 18th birthday, and even when we go into her rooms to check for hostiles, we can see that on those walls, she's been complaining about her dad's weird behavior towards her, with the guards snooping around, and even if you go to the party area, his weirdness knows no bounds, as he goes full Dan Schneider on them for a prized feet photo contest. Gross. After you seize his computer and arrest Amos at the party, you realize there's a section you never checked, and that's in the backyard where the party is at. The basement. You go in, and to your horror, you find Mr. Val's operation just under his home. A red room, filled with what seems to be inappropriate imagery of children. A filming room for videos. There's a small bed and a baby's cradle. Lastly, a shrine dedicated to his work, with freakishly put together photos and words on the walls echoing his sick, disgusting thoughts. It's shocking. You wouldn't have believed you'd find it there. When I first played this mission, I was completely horrified. I went back to this mission to shoot Vol in the face. And in this, I realized that this game really immersed me in the stuff I was trying to do. This and all the other missions push their narrative of how bad Los Sueños has become so well that honestly, it might be some of the best environmental storytelling you can get in modern day gaming. And honestly, that's a huge accomplishment considering Void Interactive is such a small company. Now this would be really great if the AI didn't shoot me in the head through the wall! Now, listen, everything I listed is great and is deserving to be great, and I know in time this will be fixed, but there is one rampant issue that has made the community universally cry out, and that is this game's enemy AI. At the moment, the AI for some reason is either too smart for its own good or too strong for its own good. The first issue is that these enemies eat bullets for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. They do not go down. Remember when I said earlier that some guns were a lot better than other guns? Well, it's because the AI will genuinely choose certain guns. Wanna know why the P90 is meta for submachine guns? You're going to need those 50 bullets. These things will tank bullets, and they'll eat slug rounds like you tickled them. It caused there to be some really big inconsistencies on this game's overall solid gameplay, because while you're playing it safe and playing it slow and you're bleeding and you're healing yourself, these enemies with zero pain tolerance are running straight at you to MK fatal blow you. Like, it's crazy. The second issue is with their reasoning. You know, in these advertisements, you're supposed to have meaningful interaction with them, negotiate them for them to put their hands up, you have to make split-second decisions, they might be hiding in closets or take hostages. I've never seen anyone do that. They just shoot everyone. Like, I can tell that they're supposed to have lines where they are supposed to, like, negotiate, but they just instantly start shooting afterwards, and it makes them look like brainless.
Continue with your mission.
If I were to give you an actual in-depth video on how wrong they are, I'd probably go off the same way Shepard was talking about Makarov. He has no rules, no boundaries, he doesn't flake at human trafficking, torture, and genocide. At its best, it might just be a small challenge, but at its worst, it makes the game borderline unplayable when you're fighting crackheads who were trained by the Navy SEALs. In some instances of the game, the final mission, Port Hoken, is genuinely impossible. Instead of it being in a small CQB area, Port Hoken is a giant open space for you and the enemies to fight each other, and they've probably already seen you before you've even seen yourself. It's just really difficult to get through these sections with such unfair circumstances, and in turn, it's hard to recommend this game sometimes to people. Yes, I like tactical games, but of course a game way too punishing to the player is not fun at all to play. I can only hope that maybe this will be patched soon enough already, and I can make another video talking about what they've changed. But until then, this remains Ready or Not's killing flaw, and what might discourage a lot of players from even picking up the game to begin with. Which is a shame, because what this game offers is really good, but if they can't find a fix to this now, it might be bad. In conclusion, Ready or Not does a lot of things right, but badly does one thing wrong, which causes the game to trip on itself. With great customization options, great gunplay, and great ways to enter in any situation possible, there is a lot of freedom to have. But with AI as punishing as this, it might be really hard for new players or tactical sim players to really get into it. Would I recommend this? Yes. It is the exact same game I've wanted ever since I played Clean House all those years ago, but it does need some fine tuning before I can really say you should definitely pick it up. So, honestly, this is the kind of game that you're just gonna have to see for yourself. Pick up the game, play it. If you like it, you like it. If you don't like it in those 2 hours, you can refund it. But I'm kind of excited to see where it will go, and hopefully in a better light for Ready or Not. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and happy 2024. I hope the holiday season brought you a lot of joy and you had a lot of time to have with your families. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, a comment, a subscribe, and share with a friend who might have been interested in Ready or Not as well. I have also a lot more planned for this year, and I am super excited to show it to all of you. So stay tuned and keep watching.